Welcome to the 360 show. It was a big week in the cricketing world. Jasper Bumrah's magical moments. We'll analyze that. Also, South Africa struggling over there in New Zealand. Some controversial decisions with regards to the DRS. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then also, should Afghanistan be getting more test match exposure? I think so. I would like to know what you think. It's the 360 show. Let's go. Bumrah Shandar, bowling karta hai. What an amazing player, Jasper Bumrah. In this match, in that last test match, 9 wickets at an average of 10.11. And the other Indian bowlers altogether also took 10 wickets, or just one more, sorry, took 10 wickets at an average of 43.3. So Bumrah outperforming his teammates. But I would like to add to that is they are hunting in packs. When Ashwin is bowling well, there's a Bumrah and a few others, Siraj, Kuldeep, Jadu before his injury, who would keep it together. So they would make turns. And that was also something that happened during my playing days with the Proteas when we were on fire between 2008 and 2013. They made turns between Morne Morkel, Philander, Rabada, Dale Steyn. It wasn't always just one guy standing out. They all had their moments to shine. And I feel that's what the Indian bowling attack is like at the moment. And it was just perfectly set up for Bumrah to come in here on a good wicket to cause havoc. His teammates, yes, their figures don't look as good as his, but they also set it up for him. You can't just play this game individually. It's a team sport, and that's what I like about the Indian attack. What a great statement by India in that second test match. Um, sort of wiping out the disappointments of the defeat of that first one. And what a fantastic comeback. That's always a sign of a great team, is when you can punch back and really have that fighting spirit. And if I think of tennis greats over the years, and Nadal, Djokovic, 2 sets down on the biggest stage, they would find a way to sneak back into the contest. And that's exactly what India did here. They had a clinical performance. And when I think of India playing in Indian conditions, this is as clinical as it gets on a really good wicket. And once again, it shows you prepare better wickets, India play better. Once it's a dust bowl and it turns everywhere, you bring the opposing team into the encounter. And that's what you don't want. Get wickets that deteriorates naturally over the playing days, with not too much turn, a little bit of turn. And that's where India's bowlers really shine the best. And that also is a sign of a fantastic bowling attack. So Bumrah was quoted saying, as a youngster, the first delivery I learned was a Yorker. I had seen the legends of the game like Wakar Yunus, Wasim Akram, and Zaire Khan do it. And that's the first delivery he learned, which is quite interesting. That's certainly his weapon in all the formats. Playing against him, I would always think of that Yorker as his stock threat, his main threat, his biggest delivery. And even in Test match cricket, he gets a lot of wickets with that. And I think of the Ollie Pope dismissal. We did speak about it in the live session on the weekend. But it's a very interesting analysis here from Himanesh Ganju. Bumrah gets enormous lift on his Yorkers. Now, I don't know if a lot of you know what he means here, but anyway, which means the balls fall flatter than they would, landing much fuller than the batter initially anticipates. And I'll explain to you now why that is the case. Today's Yorker shifted in length by a whopping 2.3 meters due to this lift. Here's how the trajectories were different. So, very well explained, but he doesn't explain why. So, this is my theory. So, if you take a table tennis ball with a table tennis bat and you give it undercut, it generally lifts up in the air. Any ball that has a lot of spin on tends to go up. You think of a Ronaldo or a goalkeeper taking a goal kick. The more um, downwards pressure he puts on the ball, the more revs the ball's got and the more it lifts. That's exactly what Bumrah's got, and that is his X factor. It was also Dale Steyn's X factor. It's the amount of power that they put downwards with their wrist at the point of delivery that gives the ball more revs backwards. And ultimately, a cricket ball is pretty heavy, so it doesn't really do that a football will do. Or the best example is a table tennis ball because it's so light. If you give it spin, it will float up in the air. Think of a frisbee. When you throw a frisbee hard with a lot of revs, it tends to go up. But Bumrah is so skilled and such a strong wrist with so much force down on the ball that he creates so much revs on the ball, and ultimately it lifts a little bit. I won't say it's easy on the eye or to see on the eye, but more than other bowlers, more so than other bowlers, he gets a little bit of drift further, and the ball pitches fuller than you initially think, which helps him to sneak through under that bat and ultimately hitting the stumps or the pads and get his LBWs. So X factor bowler, man for the magic moments or the big moments. He creates magic, just incredible, and that's the reason why he gets that lift. And you look at his stats here from against all the past greats of the game. He is only second to Sydney Barnes with the best average of all time. I don't even know who Sydney Barnes is. That must have been a long time ago. But it's the best average in tests among bowlers with 150 plus wickets. Bumrah second. Then you have Alan Davidson, Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner. You recognize some of those names. Just absolutely incredible. And Ben Stokes said Jasper is obviously on the opposing side, but sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, "What a player!" And I fully agree. And that's I appreciate that comment from Stokes. Sometimes you just have to say, "You were too good today. I'm going to come back at you, and I'm going to fight back. But today, I give you the credit. Well played." And then there was also a bit of a controversial moment with regards to an LBW decision where the DRS on the eye looked like it might have been sliding down to the leg side. This wasn't given out. India referred it or wrote it. And when you look at it, it looks like it might just be clipping leg stump. So everyone thought umpire's call and it will stay not out. And all of a sudden, it showed that it's hitting a lot more of the stump, even though on the naked eye, it looks like it's sliding. So Ben Stokes wasn't too happy. And he said, in a game full of ifs, buts, and maybes, I am not going to say that this is the reason why we haven't got the result we wanted. I'm just saying my personal opinion is that the technology has gone wrong on this occasion. And I think that's fair to say. And I must admit, I agree. I'm looking at it now with you guys, and it looks like this ball is not hitting the stump like flat out. It looks like it's sliding, and it might clip or touch the outer part of the leg stump, which ultimately would be umpire's call. So Stokes, I think, handled this well, and I mean, he says it didn't affect the game, but ultimately they only lost by 100 runs. And what kind of contribution could Zach Crawley have made had he stayed in? Anyway, sometimes the technology gives us a bit of doubt with regards to decisions. I like the fact that we've used technology and we've welcomed welcomed it into the game. I feel the decisions are a lot more accurate and consistently a lot more accurate. There are certain occasions where you think, I don't know if the technology got it right there. And I think this might have to do with where they place the camera behind the stumps. And I think they need to put a lot more emphasis on really getting the lines absolutely spot on. On this occasion, it looks like we are looking at the stumps a little bit from the left side of the stump, almost with a bit of an angle. And that might be part of the reason why it looks like it's going down the leg side. So I think it's the way they set it up. They got to make absolutely sure to the millimeter they are exactly behind that middle stump, leading to the other set of stumps. Perfect lines. Too many occasions you hear commentators say, it looks out, but we are looking at an angle, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be absolutely spot on behind the umpire, behind the stumps, so that everyone can see and that the technology is also accurate. That's my 5 cents. I don't know what else to say with that. It was a bit of a controversial moment, and Ben Stokes a little bit upset, rightfully so. But to finish off, what a great series. I did tell you guys this is going to be a fantastic series. The fact that England won that first test match just set it up for India to show their character and show what they're all about. And look, straight away, 1-1, 3 test matches to play. It's all to play for, and I absolutely cannot wait. So Zach Crawley's dismissal makes me think of Shubman Gill, and that's where the difference comes in. Crawley could have been the guy to score that match-winning 100 like Gill ended up doing. But what a great comeback from him. I did discuss his technique in depth in that last session, talking about the fact that he pushes at the ball a bit with hard hands. And I did explain to you guys what I meant by hard hands, and that's that angle of the bat And he came to Isaac here and just showed the character that that young man's got. What an incredible player. I don't know if he's worked on his technique at all or if anything changed, um, or if it's just a mental battle that he fought. I did point out one thing that I thought he could improve, but it just shows you how talented he is. In the second innings of a big test match, that was a telling 100. And let me tell you, that was the difference between the two sides. You take his 100 away, they only won by 100 runs. So, match changing innings, a huge moment in his career. Just I would always remember those moments where I got some runs, especially when I was a bit younger and not completely cemented in the side. How important it was to get runs and what kind of effect that had on my mental ability or my mental freshness, and just allowing you a bit of freedom, a bit of time to work on your game, and you understand that now you have a bit of time. They're not going to drop you in the next game because sometimes you feel like, I don't know, I've had a couple of bad games in a row. What's going to happen? Are they thinking of dropping me? You never want to play your cricket like that, feeling anxious and worried about your spot in the side. So I'm very happy for Shubman Gill. I think he is the right guy in that batting lineup to take India forward and to become a fantastic test cricketer, or even better, he's already a fantastic test cricketer. Moving on then to New Zealand and South Africa. South Africa touring to New Zealand, playing their first test match there in Mount Maunganui. Didn't go according to plan. Neil Brunt made his debut and also his test captaincy debut. I know the guy is from here. He plays at the Titans up here in Pretoria in the northern parts of South Africa, and he ended up as the opening batter, getting 6 wickets. But let me tell you, I did see some tweets about it. Not a lot of people knew that he could bowl, but he does bowl. He has bowled a lot in first-class cricket. He is a stock standard left-arm spinner, but did incredibly well on what I thought was a green wicket, which had a little bit of sea movement. And I didn't see the spinners playing a role, but 6 for 119 in his 26 overs. And it's always nice for a batter or top order batter when you can roll the arm over and help your team with the ball in hand. It takes a bit of pressure off the batting as well. Unfortunately, South Africa's batting, well, I would say, and bowling, I wouldn't want to point out any of the skill sets because I think all in all, they just came up short in all departments. Winning the toss, deciding to bowl first, and not making full use of the movement on that first morning. And they've been behind the 8 ball ever since. KS Naidu talks about it here. 5 wicket haul for Neil Brunt on debut. First SA spinner to do so since South Africa's reintroduction to international cricket. A fantastic start to his captaincy and playing career for South African Test match cricket, even though it's been tough sailing in that first Test match. And then huge from Rachin Ravindra, the New Zealand top order batter, left-hander. We saw him in that ODI World Cup performing really well for New Zealand. And he scored a 240, a double 100. Unbelievable. He's just a class player, and I love watching him play. And this guy's got a bright, very bright future. Congrats to him, and also Kane Williamson only becomes the fifth New Zealand player to record 200s in the same test match. Truly amazing. Kane Williamson, what do we say about him? I think his biggest strength, and that's something Shubman Gill should look at, is his defense and the way he gets that bat angle absolutely spot on. When he does find the edge or when he nicks a ball, it generally goes down and doesn't really carry to the slips. There was a drop catch, or maybe not a drop catch, in that first innings where he did nick it to the wicket keeper, but with his soft hands and that angle of the bat, it ended up dropping just short. So that's why you do that, is to really be compact with your defense, to feel solid in your defense, and once you lay that foundation, the rest of the game just becomes so much easier. It's something I always worked on throughout my career, and it helped me immensely once I got it right at the around 2008. I think I was about 24, 25 years old. It was the first time in my life where I felt like I'm starting to understand my defensive side of the game. And I would love for Shubman Gill to have that trigger as well, and to click how you get that bat angle right on defense, because I think he can score runs all over the world if he does get the defense spot on. Moving on to the Betway SA20, it's knockout time. Just a truly remarkable tournament. And Dan Cricket says, yeah, the SA20 is a better product than the BBL. I wouldn't want to say or compare it to other leagues. What I do want to add is that it's not far behind the best leagues in the world, the IPLs and some of the others. It's really a competitive tournament. It's so much fun to be part of it. The atmosphere at the grounds are absolutely electric, even though we have smaller grounds with not a lot of crowd attendance or space for the crowd to attend, but the crowd attendance is amazing. We've had packed stadiums in the middle of the week and school weeks. The people are still coming in. So remarkable turnout for the Betway SA20, for Graham Smith and his co. I've said it so many times before, but what a great achievement pulling this tournament off. Silly Point was talking about my Cape Town, twice at the bottom of the table in 2 SA20 seasons. This tournament has been a vibe. So really enjoying the tournament, but having a bit of a dig at my Cape Town. And it's true. It's a very powerful franchise, obviously linked to the Mumbai Indians. And they have some other franchises around the world. I know they won't be happy. I know the owners personally, and their standards are very high. So they will not be happy with this. And we might see some changes in the future for my Cape Town. Was simply not good enough, winning only 3 out of 10 games, and unfortunately missing out on the playoffs. They should have. They had the opportunity to win that last game against the Pretoria Capitals. We ended up in the 5th spot. They played in Cape Town, and unfortunately, my Cape Town just couldn't get it done. They were defending a total. They looked like they were going to win, and unfortunately didn't. Ryan Rickleton's form with former Cape Town has been incredible, and that's why it's also a surprise that they finished bottom of the log with an opening batter with these kind of stats. Look at those numbers; it's just simply remarkable, and he's put up his hand for all the formats for the Proteas. I think moving forward, Test matches, ODIs, and T20s, I think he's just a fantastic player, and it's great to finally see him come through. But there's the league points table. Sunrisers Eastern Cape at the top against playing against the Durban Super Giants. The winner will go straight through to the final. The loser will play the winner of Paul Royals and Johannesburg Super Kings, who I have mentioned before. The Joburg Super Kings, I feel, is a very dangerous side. They just snuck in to the knockouts, similar to Sunrisers Eastern Cape last year, who just snuck in and ultimately won the tournament. Could it be Johannesburg Super Kings? Yeah. And then we have a look at this guy, stunning southpaw, Lias Deploy. I've known this guy since he was 9 years old. There's his stats for this tournament. He's a classy left-hander. He went overseas to England. He left South Africa to go get a bit of experience, and he certainly did exactly that. He came back at the age of 29, just a wonderful player, and I have gone on about him in depth in my commentary stints. He's just a wonderful player, and he's been one of the best batters for the Joburg Super Kings. And let's hope that form continues for him in the knockout stages. And then moving on to something a bit different, Test match cricket, my favorite form of the game. Afghanistan and Sri Lanka playing there. Sri Lanka winning by 10 wickets. But we have some quotes here, and Danish Chandamal giving a lot of credit to Afghanistan. If you take my 100 or Angela's 100, there really weren't many balls where we could step forward and drive for 4. I'm not sure there was a single driven 4 of the seamers. They bowled short to us or bowled good lengths. Right through the day, they had discipline. So credit to Afghanistan for competing. I know lost by 10 wickets. It doesn't sound good, but sometimes the margins are a lot smaller than you think. And then that's Jonathan Trott at the bottom there, who's part of Afghanistan. He said, if Afghanistan got to play more Test cricket, you'd see them rise as quickly into that format as they have in the others. And I fully agree. And it really is time for the big guys, the guys who make the decisions, to let other teams play more Test cricket and not just India, England, and Australia. Please, guys, I spoke to Stuart Broad about it the other day, and he felt strongly about it. He said towards the back end of his career, it almost got embarrassing in a way, like, we want other teams to also play. It's important for the West Indies and South Africa, teams like Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, to play more Test cricket. We want to play against everyone. When we're number one in the world, we want to really believe that we are number one. We've played against everyone at home and away. So a bit of work for the ICC and the guys who make the decisions there and who sort out the schedules. I know guys like Mark Nicholas, who's involved with the MCC over there in England. He's getting a panel together, guys like Ricky Ponting and Alan Border, Graham Smith, Kumar Sangakkara. I think it's a panel of 100 people, former players, lovers of the game, and they're going to discuss a lot of ideas of how to move this thing forward and how to look after our most valued format, which is Test cricket, just the ultimate form of the game. That's enough for this week, then, with regards to news and analysis. Let's move on to ABReacts now. I love this. Jurgen Klopp moves on from Liverpool. He's not going to stay on as the manager. That is huge news for Liverpool fans. I'm a Jurgen Klopp fan, even though I'm a Man United supporter, believe it or not. I've always really enjoyed this guy's vibe, his energy, humility in press conferences, always having an open mind. I have the world of respect for him. His record for Liverpool is simply incredible. 317 matches, 199 wins. That's a lot of wins in football, where you get a lot of draws as well. It's just simply amazing. I think if you have 199 wins out of 370 games, it shows you what kind of brand of football you're playing. Very positive, attacking, and this is just the way I'll remember him. He's quoted here, "I am who I am and where I am because of how I am. And if I can't do it anymore, then tell people I stop. It wasn't my idea. When I signed a new contract, I was 100% convinced we would go to 26. I underestimated my energy levels as being endless. It always was. Now it's not. And with all responsibility you have in this job, you have to be on top of your game. I've been doing this for 24 years. To arrive at Liverpool is because I've invested everything I had. I've realized my resources are not endless." And so he talks about things here, and he's also convinced that he's made the right decision. I can certainly relate to this when you run out of a bit of energy towards the back end of your career. Um, your mind tells you you can go on. I mean, physically, I also felt good towards the back end of my career, but in your heart, something just stops. I always spoke about a fire that stopped burning, or that got a little bit smaller. And I've always played with that in my heart. That's why I played cricket. And I think Jurgen Klopp has always been that kind of manager. When I watched him at games on the sidelines, there's passion and energy and true, genuine, like emotions. He's not a robot. He's not. He never sat on the side there trying to be cool, like some other managers would do. I won't mention names, but he would always show his emotion, whether it was good or bad. Not bad in a bad way. He would get upset, but he would get happy. You almost let me explain it like this. He was almost one of the boys on the pitch, and that's how I always analyzed him. He looked like he was one of the players, but he was sitting on the side. So just a fantastic manager. I have the world of respect for him. I think he made the right decision. The minute you feel in your heart, or that your heart is not there anymore, and that's exactly why I called it. I had a very similar abrupt retirement to my career, but that's what my heart told me, and I was true to my heart. I don't know if you guys remember the quotes that I put out. I spoke about a fire that stops burning. When I grew up with my brothers in the backyard, that's what I felt throughout my entire career. And the minute that stopped, I knew it was time for me to say, people, I mean no harm. I'm not disrespecting anyone, but it's time for me to move on, because I don't want to be on a cricket field when my heart is telling me you rather want to be somewhere else. And that's what happened to Klopp here, I believe. He gave it his all, and he obviously had a night or two in his hotel room where he just realized, you know what, this is not me anymore. There are other things in life that I want to pursue. So yeah, well done to him on a fantastic career, and all the very best with everything he takes on in the future. And to all your Liverpool fans out there, you can be very proud of him. I'm not sure who's going to replace him, but hopefully it will be someone good for you, but not too good, please, because Man United needs to get back into the swing of things. Let's move on to the 360 quiz then. Last week's question: which hug caught my eye for its emotions and heart in last week's episode? And the answer, there's the picture. It's Brian Lara and Adam Gilchrist, two of my favorite players I've ever played against. They're both superhumans. Um, Adam Gilchrist meant a lot to me in my career, where I was 19 years old and there was a coaching camp at the University of Pretoria, and he was throwing balls to me and I was keeping, taking one-hand catches. And afterwards, I'll never forget it. He told me, "You're a very, very talented young player, but you need to work on your left hand." And with a 4-3-8 game where South Africa beat Australia in that final match, we won the series 3-2. I went up to Gilly and I said, I don't know if you'll remember me, but he was so approachable, so kind, so nice. He said, well played. It's nice to see you play cricket. You look like a very talented player and all the best with your future. And I said, well, I don't know if you remember, but not so many years ago, you told me to work on my left hand. And he didn't remember, but he remembered the coaching session. But he laughed. He gave me his shirt. He signed Adam Gilchrist, and he wrote there, "Remember to work on your left hand." So I still have that shirt to this day, and just a special moment. And also a nice story with Brian Lara, my first test tour to the West Indies. When I walked out to bat, the MC would pronounce my name. You couldn't say my name basically. Every time he messed it up. And one function we had, Brian Lara approached me and he said, I almost passed out. I mean, Brian Lara, why is he walking to me? He walked straight to me and he said, my name is Brian Lara. I said, very nice to meet you. And he said, you don't have to tell me your name. I know exactly what your name is. Your name is AB de Villiers, and it's spelled ABDIVILLIERS. I can pronounce your name. So he picked up on it on the field that every time they would mess up my name, and he just wanted to confirm and tell me he knows what my name is. And he said, boy, you can play. So a huge moment from both these guys, and there you can just see the respect between them. Adam Gilchrist giving BC Lara a hug, showing him what it means for the West Indies to be competing again and to be playing good cricket. Sorry for the long stories, but the winner is Arshia Munat. Congratulations! You will be receiving your prize. Well done for that. And then let's move on to this week's 360 quiz. Who was the last player before Neil Brunt to captain his test team while making their test debut? All the very best with that. In last week's quiz, 5 guys got it right. Let's see if a few more of you can get it right. And obviously, if a lot of you get it right, we pick one winner. I blindfold myself, I pick one, and we'll send you a prize. So all the best with this week's quiz. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Follow me on socials to stay in the loop. Have a fantastic week. It's great to be catching up with you all. Bye now.